Heather, how did you transition from employee to entrepreneur?
I started my professional career as textbook as it comes, right? 4-year degree with marketing and fashion expertise in New York City. Really took that and ran into the world of fashion in New York City for working there for over a decade. And, really honed in working with these Fortune 500 companies on products and how to develop products and bring it from an initial paper image all the way through till final production. So learned a lot, had a great run. But as you work up the corporate ladder, and I'm sure a lot of people could probably relate to this, you kind of lose touch with really the purpose and that like gooey feeling of like, I'm really making an impact in the world. So I really started thinking about life on a deeper level. We kind of picked up and left New York City for sunny California. And I felt like that was the time my life was kind of taking a different turn. And I was becoming a mom, and I started asking those hard questions. How can I make a larger impact in this world? And it really was looking back at my history of like, okay, you're a creative person, you know about the product life cycle, you've been making fashion clothes. How can you help people in a similar situation, right? So that's when I got to thinking, hold on, I love Pinterest. I used it so much when I worked in fashion as an outlet for marketing. With my marketing degree background, right back from my college days, I really said, you know what? I want to help product sellers, product makers to market in a non-salesy way online, right? If COVID taught us anything, it really taught us how big of an impact just a physical location could have. You've really got to expand your horizons and get into that online space. But really started Heather Chee & Co., a Pinterest marketing and strategy company for product sellers and makers, so that they could really rest more easily, knowing that they're connecting with their ideal clients, seamlessly, and they really might not have to have those weird encounters at a physical vendor fair anymore. Like they could have more of an online presence.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought up what happened during COVID, because I think so much of the world was moving towards online sales and marketing and products and all these kind of things before that. But then it became a necessity for businesses, and the opportunity just exploded. And so it was hopefully a great time for you to get into that, business and helping people get their online stores really going and marketed on Pinterest.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a huge trend, and you've seen a little bit of a step back from that, right? As like physical locations are opening up, but I still feel the trends are still moving in the direction that people are utilizing the online space for more of that shopping experience, especially on Pinterest.
And even if you have a physical presence or you're doing networking in person, you have to be online today. It has to complement what you're doing in person for you to really get the most. I mean, why not take advantage of that opportunity?
Right.
Get the most out of your marketing time and your marketing bucks. This is the Fearless Climbers Business Show, and I'm your business coach and host, Kathleen Reese-Jubenville. Today, I'm talking with Heather Chee, the Pinterest strategist of Heather Chee & Co. Heather, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for asking me to come on, Kathleen. It's a pleasure to be here.
Sure. So tell me a little bit more about your ideal client.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just like I was once, or I still am, right? Creative thinker, right? Somebody who was probably has a full-time job, but unfulfilled from that full-time job, and really took to a side gig. And maybe it just started as something small, right? An idea about a product that you enjoyed as your creative outlet. You're probably utilizing your garage in your home, or maybe another room as your workspace. And, you've probably been in business 3 to 5 years. You have a website, right? That's self-hosted of some kind, whether that be like a Shopify, WooCommerce, a Wix. And you're really at a point where you're like, my calendar is full every weekend. I've got to sit at these vendor fairs. Sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they're not. And I'm really looking to scale. I'm really looking to connect in a larger way, really expand that audience. So those are, my ideal clients, someone who's willing to take the risk to really keep producing those great products. And maybe they have that great website that's working for them, but they need help getting that content behind it, right? So content and having a blog as a product seller might not be the first thing to come to mind, but it's absolutely an essential. What I like to call is content awareness, right? So explaining the benefits of your product. How do you stand out amongst the pack? Blogs are so essential for being that like salesperson for when someone does land on your blog, or I'm sorry, your website, that is. So, I really love to help people do that as well. And the other component, really for another person that's looking for building that email list, right? If I'm meeting people at a vendor fair, I'm sitting there face to face with them, I probably have their information. Why aren't we doing that online? Why aren't we building, our blocks to get that in order? So love helping people to understand how they can do that in their business if they're ready to take that step and say, yes, I need more leads. How do we build that email list? So I love helping to do that as well. So really, again, someone who is a creative out of the box thinker, looking for a non-salesy way. They're really sick and tired of those weird encounters maybe they're having at the vendor fairs. And they're looking for, again, a quality, steady stream heading to their shop.
So it sounds like they're wanting to get out of these in-person events and just sell online. So they're just sick of running out of time, or what are some of the other problems that they're having?
So, time is a definite one, right? Especially when you're a creative individual, that can cause a lot of burnouts, right? We use a lot of creative juices to come up with these stellar ideas that help solve people's problems. Why not give yourself the opportunity to kind of lighten the load and really focus more on what matters is creating that product, right? So somebody who is ready to take the step to say, you know what, I have this full-time job that I'm unfulfilled with. I need to keep it to support this side gig. But you know what? I'm ready to take the chance because I know I'm making a good amount of money. But if I did it full time, solely focused on it, I would actually do very well. So somebody who's willing to take that risk and really say, I want to take this and scale, would be definitely somebody who I'd love to help and talk to. And definitely feeling overwhelmed. Maybe they've heard about Pinterest or they're doing well on Instagram, but they don't even want to think about another social media platform. But if you're already doing those things for something else, there's something called repurposing. And, what a great way to just try to use what you already have to capitalize somewhere else with a different audience.
So when they're thinking about going all in, is what I hear you saying, from their full-time job into selling their creative products, what are some of the things that they're feeling, that may be preventing them from going all in, or that they're worried about once they do go all in?
Definitely the unknown, right? How many aspects of our life are we held back because fear holds us there? Sometimes we don't even realize it, right? But I like to say, like, be fearless, as in the fearless climb, right? Exactly. Just like unleashing that part of themselves and not being afraid of it. I've talked to business owners who are like, I'm afraid, Heather, to go viral because I might not be able to sustain. The great news is I'm a Pinterest strategist, but I've also had a ton of experience in the whole product life cycle. I know how these things work. I know how it is to work with major suppliers, production timelines. So that's what also makes our business here at Heather Chee & Co. really unique. But if they have fears about that unknown, I think that's what's holding a lot of them back. And then just the non-security, it's like, I get it. I was there. I was in a comfortable salaried corporate position, but I had to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to shut that all down in my mind and really start ground up from nothing. And people were like, are you crazy? So somebody who's feeling like that, like, again, I took that road. I know how it is.
So what are some things that you specifically do with people to help them get clarity and overcome some of their fears of doing this?
Well, what really makes us unique in our approach here at Heather Chee & Co. is we look at someone from all corners, right? We really start by looking at their website and seeing and giving suggestions on how to optimize that, especially for a Pinterest audience, and really understanding how their shop is. Is there ways that we can optimize images, optimize descriptions, giving you the best shot if your goals are to build that email list? Everyone comes there, they might not have that great opt-in or that downloadable. Well, guess what? We now offer that at Heather Chee & Co., where we've come up with an idea with research. We get it from idea onto an opt-in. We create the landing pages for you. So all that is done. So, I think having the clarity of like, okay, I know I've got an expert on it, really telling you from that approach, we know you from all angles. We're giving you the best shot, and then adding on our Pinterest expertise into all of that, and really how to get your presence onto Pinterest in that way. So I think having that guidance, that roadmap, that proven strategy from other existing clients, that, you know, people can be at ease, that wherever they are, we could get you there.
Well, and you've worked with me too, and you've done just a fabulous job with developing my Pinterest. So check it out sometime if you're looking for Heather's great work as some examples. And I know you've said to me many times and explained to me how Pinterest is a search engine, like doing a Google search. That's the difference between Pinterest and many of the other social media sites. And so I love to hear you say that you're thinking about the end-to-end search optimization, not just on Pinterest, but also on the website and with blogs and these things that they all work together. And so it's okay to work on one thing at a time. We can only do so many things at once. But really, when you're building out an online digital marketing strategy, you really have to think end to end, because if they're interested in what you're doing on Pinterest, they're going to go to your website, and then your website is where you're going to convert them to buy or to get, like you said, on the email list. So if you're just doing one side of it, you're not getting the full benefit of what you can really get from Pinterest. So I love that you're doing the full service for people to make sure that they can move someone from just general interest all the way to closing the sale.
Absolutely. The exciting thing about Pinterest, and I get asked a lot, it's like, oh, I didn't realize Pinterest did that. I only went on there for recipes or for weddings. Well, great. Take that mindset for a second and think about yourself. You're going to Pinterest because it's the most inspiring place, right, on the internet, which is another reason why I love it. But, you know, you're going there for an event. There's something in your mind that you're planning for, right? So you're pinning ideas as you're gathering, right? You're gathering those ideas, and eventually from those gathered ideas, you're going to make an absolute decision on what you want to make your life better, make your event stellar, more memorable. So what better opportunity for somebody who's selling a product that's solving one of those types of events that someone's looking for. It's a non-salesy way, and like I said, a very inspiring platform. So it naturally lends itself to getting cold leads, right? What we all want, that are actually looking for. So back to what you were saying before, it's a visual discovery engine. So it has those components of, just like Google, where you'll search about 2 to 3 non-branded or just generic words, if you will. And what comes up is imagery, versus if you're on Google, right, we'd have words that are coming up in the search. So we have these images that then lead to certain places, right, off Pinterest. So let's think about all the other platforms. They really try to leave you on the platform, right? Well, Pinterest is doing the job of really helping to support the creators in that way, lead you to that. Well, that's the exciting part. But to your point, you have to look at everything else. Like, once we're there, how can we optimize to convert that sale? And that has to be looked at for sure, which again is a way that we differentiate ourselves amongst the competitors, is really just that way do help you to kind of make sure those are in place.
And, you know, the other thing that I really love about Pinterest is that the content that you've created for me, which were supported by the blogging that I did and other key elements that you put into there, where you were actually looking at the keywords, the search engine optimization, or SEO as they call it, in what I was putting into my blogs, and the visuals that you were creating, the content is never lost. It's never gone. It's still searchable. So I still have people liking and finding and following me because of a post you did for me over a year ago. That does not happen for me on any other social media platform. Pinterest is a permanent searchable record of what I've done and what your clients are doing. It never goes away. Social media just disappears. Any other social media platform, you post and it's gone. Somebody might find a reel a week later, but not often. Pinterest is a fabulous kind of almost semi-permanent platform for content, searchable content.
Absolutely. You bring up a great point, which amongst the pack of other platforms, really we're creating things that are going to live on for years to come. I mean, your other posts are out there on the other platforms, but really within a certain time frame, within hours or days, that 75% of that engagement happens. Yeah. So on Pinterest, that life is, you really 6 to 8 months when it starts to come to life, if you will. That is the only, thing about anything that we do in a digital space, is to have the expectation that nothing happens overnight, right? Otherwise, we'd all be lining up for that. So, we do plant our seeds in Pinterest, right? Our pins, and we foster them in certain environments, right? We make sure the frequency is there, the right keywords, all of that goes into it. And we really see what works. And from there, then we plant those seeds that grow to oak trees. And to your point, for years to come, you're able to get traffic from those older Pinterest pins. But again, it does take a little bit of time. We do have a slow traction. But I like to tell people, we have to have a mindset like we do for Google. For Google, it's totally acceptable to not have overnight results. We've got to have that same mindset with Pinterest. And when we can do that and kind of wait and put our best foot forward, that's when those results will really start to pay off. And the other great thing is, to your point, what you were talking about, is utilizing it for a search, for ideas, for content. Let's be smart, right? And get into the platform to see what people are searching. What are the trends that are currently going on that might be able to be integrated into that content? Because if someone's naturally looking for that and you're talking about it, again, you're increasing your chances of being seen by the right people, right? Your right ideal clients. So there's the Pinterest Trends tool, which is fabulous for that. But anyone watching, if you're like, oh, I'm interested in this, open up Pinterest, put a couple 2 to 3 generic terms that are related to your business. Press the enter button, see what comes up. You can Google Pinterest Trends tool, and they have a great tool now where you can just type words in and it can give you by, the year, by month, where and when those keywords might pick up. And they also highlight current trends that are going on. So really great information, to have at your fingertips as you are doing that content awareness part, right?
But I think especially with Pinterest, the strategy is so important. The way you lay out the boards, the way you use your keywords and your images. And like you said, the trends. I know that when you were working with me, we talked a lot about holidays and seasons and, these kind of things that I have no awareness that any of this is important. I've got to know you and you educated me on that, but it was certainly not something that I wanted to spend my time trying to figure out. And I was so grateful to have you taking care of all that strategy behind the scenes for me and understanding who my clients were, who I was trying to reach, how I was trying to reach them, my brand kind of vibe, if you would. And so when someone gets connected to you, Heather, how do you work with them specifically? How do they get started with you and what does that look like?
Yeah, first, I'd love for you to go on my website and reach out, connect. And then generally what I do is I just have a call with somebody just to see what are their interests, in Pinterest. Are they a veteran? Have they been at this? And they're just so frustrated because they're not seeing the impressions. They're not seeing the clicks to their website, or they just brand new. And it just seems like, hey, I'm doing the work on Instagram. I've got fabulous photos already. I've got a self-hosted website. I've got tons of products. Great. So we have an initial call just to see if we're a good fit in the sense of me helping to get you to where your goals are. And if that is going to be a good fit, then we go into a complimentary strategy session. So like I was telling before, what really sets us apart is the fact that we get to know you in all angles. So before that call, I'm looking at all of your social media. I'm looking at your website. If you have an existing blog, I'm taking a look at, again, your shop, and really just coming up with some real great ideas for you just based on what your goals are. Then from there, we put framework in place. And then from that roadmap, we really get to work. And like I said, just really at that point, it's just a mindset shift a bit. I've had clients where it's like, well, that's not how I would post on Instagram. And it's like, well, there's a learning curve here because remember, we're kind of a visual discovery engine. It's a bit different than other social media. And then from there, having touch bases and just looking, are things working? If they're not, how do we switch it out? And really coming up with a robust strategy from all angles, optimization from, what's on your website to your landing pages, what have you. It's kind of unique and different for everyone because, everyone has their own goals, but there is some, commonalities. So
Yes.
yeah, I'd love for people to check me out.
Well, for sure. Well, first of all, trust the expert. I always say that. So good clients trust the expert, right? And then second, just so much value you give up front. Like, why wouldn't anybody just reach out to you, schedule that call, get the strategy information from you? You put so much effort into it up front to give so much value. It's worth just getting that information.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sure. So what is your best piece of advice for someone ready to go all in on this and really expand their business?
Yeah, like I said, I think not being fearful and just having an open mindset. So we kind of just need to apply that a little bit more to that marketing end of things, and not be afraid. So why not try to get steady income coming in and kind of let go of that fear and let it come.
So what should our audience do to connect with you, Heather?
So definitely head to www.heatherchee.com. We actually are very excited this year, have launched a featured resources page with some great starter freebies. I have a free Pinterest startup checklist for creating your business profile if you're a product seller, a shop, an e-commerce brand. And we also have other downloadables that are great too, like another one that's for Pinterest trends and content. It gives you by month what you should be pinning, when you should be putting certain seasonal items out. And then we also have one just to teach you what metrics to track in Pinterest, because if anyone's afraid of numbers, I understand. So this is just a great freebie that'll help guide you through that. So real great information. Again, connect with me on social media. Feel free to send me an email through my website. I'd love to chat.
Fabulous. Well, Heather, thank you again for being here today.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. It was great talking with you and being here.
You're welcome. And be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss any of our small business success strategies, and click on the links below for more helpful free resources.